Today, we are diving into the incredible, almost unbelievable story of the Somnath Temple. It's located on India's western coast, and believe me, this is way more than just a building. It's a survivor that has seen 1,000 years of history, with a story of resilience that is just staggering.
Just let that sink in for a moment. 1,000 years of destruction. That's not poetry, it's the literal, documented history of this shrine. It perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to uncover, a story of faith, of brute force, and of the absolute stubborn will to endure.
And that brings us to the central question, the one that's just mind-boggling. No, that's not a typo. 17 times this temple was attacked, torn down, and desecrated. And 17 times, it rose right back up. How is that even possible? Well, to figure that out, we have to go all the way back to the very beginning.
Okay, let's get into it. To really understand its resilience, you first have to see what the Somnath Temple is like today.
So if you visit the temple today, you'll see this magnificent structure, made of this beautiful honey-colored stone, just gleaming in the sun. It looks pristine, almost brand new, which is kind of wild given its history. But this isn't just a building, right? It's a statement. At its very heart is the first of India's 12 Jyotirlingas, these super sacred sites where the god Shiva is said to have appeared as a column of pure infinite light. And the story of that light, well, it takes us back to the realm of myth, to a time when the entire world was almost plunged into eternal darkness, and it all starts with the moon god himself. The main character in this origin story is Chandra, the moon god. According to the ancient texts, his pride nearly cost the world its moonlight forever, and his desperate search for a way out, for redemption, is what makes this little patch of coastline so incredibly sacred. So here's how this whole celestial drama went down. First up, Chandra's pride. He married 27 daughters of a powerful sage, but he only ever paid attention to his favorite, Rohini. This, you can imagine, did not go over well. Which leads to step 2, Daksha's curse. His father-in-law got so angry he cursed him to just fade into darkness. So totally desperate, Chandra comes to this exact spot, Prabhas, and begins his penance. And that leads to Shiva's blessing. Now, Shiva couldn't totally reverse the curse, but he could change it, so he created the phases of the moon, the waxing and waning we see every single month. So, completely overwhelmed with gratitude, Chandra built the very first temple right here. They say it was made of pure gold, and he named it Somnath, which literally means Lord of the Moon. And that's it. That's the divine origin story that anchors this temple to this sacred ground. All right, so now we shift gears from myth into recorded history. That legendary golden temple kicked off a cycle of creation and destruction that would define this place for the next 1,000 years. This timeline just lays out that rhythm perfectly. Look at this pattern. In 1026, Mahmud of Ghazni sacks the temple. A couple of centuries later, it's rebuilt by King Mahapala. Then, in 1706, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb orders it to be demolished completely. But by 1783, Queen Ahilyabai Holkar goes and builds a new temple right nearby. It's this relentless cycle, destruction followed by an equally relentless spirit of reconstruction.
The attack by Mahmud of Ghazni in 1026. That one is probably the most infamous. It was just a moment of horrific violence and looting, but it was also a moment of unbelievable bravery. Historical accounts say something like 50,000 people died trying to defend their shrine. This event seared Somnath into the collective memory, making it a symbol of both terrible desecration and incredible defiance.
But the cycle didn't stop there. The final, and maybe the most triumphant chapter of rebuilding came much later, in the 20th century, right as a new independent India was being born. So, right after India's independence in 1947, 3 key people really championed the temple's reconstruction. You had Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the Iron Man of India, who made the promise that it would rise again. K.M. Munshi, a brilliant scholar, led the actual charge. But it was Mahatma Gandhi who added a really crucial condition. This was not going to be a state-funded project. It had to be a people's temple, paid for entirely by ordinary citizens. And wow, did the people respond? By 1949, they had collected over 2.5 million rupees from public donations alone. You see, this was never just about rebuilding a temple. It was about a new nation reclaiming a really vital piece of its cultural soul. And so the new temple rose, its spire stretching 155 feet into the sky. It was built in the traditional Maru-Gurjara style, which was itself a continuation of an architectural tradition that had survived for over 1,000 years. The real defining moment came at the temple's inauguration in 1951. India's very first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, delivered this incredibly powerful message. For a country that was still healing from the trauma of partition, Somnath became this potent symbol that the act of building was always, in the end, more powerful than the act of breaking. So what does all of this mean for us today? What's the ultimate message of a place like Somnath? Well, first and foremost, it's so important to understand that this is not some dusty old monument. It is not a museum. With over 10 million pilgrims visiting every single year, it is a vibrant, living, breathing center of faith. The chants that you hear in its halls today are part of an unbroken chain that stretches back through all those centuries. And this slide just perfectly illustrates history's final verdict. The aggressors, they're footnotes now, remembered only for destruction. But the shrine, it stands bright, a sentinel of a nation's soul. That contrast, that's the core of Somnath's legacy. K.M. Munshi, the man who led the modern reconstruction, he just captured it perfectly with this one image. The temple is a phoenix. It's living proof that what is truly valued by a people can never really be destroyed. It will always, always find a way to rise again. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The story of Somnath is proof that things like faith, identity, and heritage can actually be more durable than stone. It shows us that the act of rebuilding can be an incredibly powerful statement. And the question it asks us 1,000 years later is this: what ideas are so important to us that we would commit to rebuilding them again and again, no matter what it costs?